Welcome, friends, family, gathered cult members of the Suck On It tribe. Today we're sucking on it with a good mate called Owen. Owen's a really interesting dude who's tried his hand at a lot of different things in only 20 odd years on the planet. He seems to have experienced and done a lot of things that are really fascinating, making primitive tools, studying filmmaking, diving, as in the underwater kind, not out of planes, some nautical engineering, primitive tool making, which I may have mentioned at the start. I can't remember. Anyway, point being, he's done a lot of different things. He's also a fellow homeschool alumni, and today we suck on it with him and just get into some really interesting topics. Vegetarianism, ethical decision making, science, and talk about the nature of assumption and those sorts of things. So, hope you enjoy episode 3 of Suck On It with Owen. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, he is was or did run a what's it called? Like a fasting thing in the forest.
Oh.
Like a spirit quest or something.
Shit.
Yeah. You should get Arnie in here to talk about that.
Okay, so he ran one,
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have just been for friends and stuff. I think you kind of have to get someone to facilitate that sort of thing, to look after the people while they're fasting in the middle of the bush.
I want to drag your chair in just a little bit. Sorry, I was just working at the levels. You're good now. You're great. You're so good. Now you're going to be like, boom, everything's too late. No. Yeah, right.
1, 2.
Why do they go into the forest to fast versus fasting anywhere else?
It's like a vision quest kind of thing. And so it's kind of to...
Squeaky stool.
Yeah, the idea is to be in nature and to do all the fasting, and you just get isolated kind of by yourself and just kind of like a vipassana. Have you heard of that?
What is vipassana?
Again, you should get Looney in here. But they go for a week or something and fast a lot. I don't fast for the whole week, but in the vipassana, I think, as I understand, you basically just meditate the whole time and you don't talk to anyone. There's other people doing it with you, but you don't interact really. You just have a really simple life of sleeping, getting up, sitting and meditating all day. Not speaking to anyone, eating rice or something. And yeah, so basically it's these things so that you can just spend lots of time by yourself and with your own mind.
Yeah. Slowly going insane.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
because so few people do that now. It's not something a lot of people like to do. So I feel like it's really relevant now.
Are these things you pay for? These retreat things?
You got this...
The instant cynic.
I'm not sure. I haven't
Being
looked
robbed
into it.
here. I wasn't sure if it was friends get together and go and do it, or I guess
Cheap night out. Let's go out and fast in the forest.
Yeah. Get woozy as hell.
But the eating rice one, I don't know. It just sounds like the kind of thing that would need to be organised.
Yeah, no,
in
I
this
think
day and age.
I think you would pay. I don't know for sure.
I think it's funny. How we pay to just live the life of a loner.
It's that's sometimes I feel like I've really got it good because
you're having
do
this
all the
time.
time.
Not talking to anyone, eating rice.
Your spirit is lean. It's there was a guy who posted on, I don't know, Instagram or Facebook or something, some nature guy that I follow, and about how he'd just been out in the forest for 4 days somewhere in America, and like he hadn't seen another person for 4 days, and that kind of, it sort of like excited me on one hand, and then the other hand I was like, fuck, I reckon I would find that really hard, which it's probably good to be aware that I would find it hard because I don't know, it's just interesting to know the things that you would find difficult.
What, just not seeing another person for 4 days?
Yeah. You're like, bliss.
Give me 4 months.
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I don't feel like I'd find it that hard, but maybe I'm not really fully comprehending the concept of not seeing a person for days.
It's a long time. I mean, I think it's a long time. Over half a week without seeing anybody else, but I feel like there would be a lot of stuff going through your head in that time. Like, I can see why it would probably be a really handy thing to do because there's so many distractions, man. But there's a lot of ways that you can like distract yourself from thinking about shit, from thinking about life or death or whatever it is, that if you're actually on your own for several days in a row, I feel like it would be very psychologically revealing.
Yeah, I was going to say, it could either be peaceful, we've got no distractions, you could really dig into some stuff, or it could be super, super stressful. You could just be like a ball of anxiety because you've got no distractions.
Oh my God! Yeah.
That's something I've never really understood though, because that's like, I would have no problem at all being completely alone for 4 days, I think. Like, I love to just wander off and be completely by myself. I think maybe a couple of weeks I would start to go crazy.
Yeah.
Because I do need people, but yeah.
Your
But yeah, a lot of people do find it really difficult.
I'm a pretty sociable person. Like, and it's not even the interaction directly that I kind of need, but I do just like, being amongst people. I don't need to directly talk to them in any sort of way. Just being around people is, nice, I think. I enjoy it personally anyway. I think it's... but maybe it is to do with that. Maybe it is to do with getting a bit lost in other people's noise. I remember having a panic attack. It's like the first panic attack I ever had was when I went out for a walk on my own out in the country. This is not that long ago because I've only had panic attacks in the last maybe 3 or 4 years, or acknowledge them as being that. And yeah, I remember just setting off and feeling really good about it. I think it's part of the whole anxiety thing that, go out and then suddenly be hit with all these worries. Once you're out a few kilometres away from home on your own, no mobile phone reception or anything, all the little what ifs start to happen. Or what if I see a snake? What if I get bitten by a snake or something?
Yeah.
It's I don't know, it's kind of intense, I guess, and you really notice suddenly that you're not around people, that if you needed someone, you don't have someone there, all that kind of stuff. So I think the longer you're out there, the more, you would really start working through some of the layers of, bullshit, basically. It's probably something I need to do more.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like all those, for anybody, things that really create a lot of resistance in your life are the things that ultimately are the most fruitful to challenge.
Yeah, though it's quite, I just said I think...
I just noticed all those have been knocked.
Oh, okay.
Not to make everyone aware of the
No.
process.
That's all right.
But yours is way up.
Yeah, right.
And ours are all the way down.
The fourth wall has been broken.
We're now in the fifth dimension.
That's right, people. There is actually microphones here.
What?
We're being recorded.
The that whole thing of confronting your fears and stuff, we kind of got into that a bit with Franco when we were talking about stuff, so at the risk of retreading ground. But yeah, I think it is a really key kind of thing, like confronting your fears, but it's really hard. It's not easy at all.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's really sort of cuts against the grain. We want to do things that make us more comfortable. But they're really, yeah, I mean, you hear every motivational speaker ever. There's growth on the other side, but I think it is actually really true.
It's gross on the other side.
Don't go there.
The other side of fear is disgusting.
Self-improvement. Yeah, I think there are huge benefits to be gained when you start working through things. And I know that in the very mild ways that I've, tried to overcome some of my fears, and that I definitely feel so much better.
Yeah.
And that sense of like euphoria almost when you push
like,
beyond.
oh my gosh, I'm a big man now.
I'm big boy.
But it's, for me, that was a really big sticking point for a long time, because being so anxious about reality, and none of it looked that good to me. Like, it's like, why would I bother putting effort into improving this life? It's so boring. There's no dragons or like sword fights and quests and stuff. Like, what's the point? And because that's what my psychological life and my, like, what I related everything to was all those, books and stories and stuff. But then if you learn about metaphors, you realize,
What are the metaphors?
you can apply that. And in reality, like, I don't know, calling, doing like an official phone call or something, that was something that really freaked me out. Like, I was always terrified of initiating a phone call to somebody who knew what they were talking about, and I would be so, silly and stupid, and oh gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. That would be just as challenging for me as maybe it is to go and fight a dragon for some crazy hero dude. So it's about, reality things are so much harder.
It's all relative.
Yeah.
To the individual hero, what the beasts are, I guess.
I feel like that phone call one is something that everyone, I know that was just an example of struggles, but I think that's something that everyone seems to struggle with a little bit when they're younger. It's making phone calls. Or like there's a point where it's like easy when you're really young. I found that anyway.
Yeah.
And then once you're more like young teen, the idea of calling someone, or older teen, I guess, calling someone, like you'll put it off, or you'll try and find a way around it.
Yeah.
I don't know why. You'd think that would be so much easier than like talking to someone face to face.
Yeah, you can like immediately cut it off and be safe in your safe place. You can just be like, bye!
Yeah. I changed my mind.
Yeah.
There's such a disconnect there. But maybe that's why, because it feels like a different experience to what you're used to.
Yeah, it's really unnatural. Like, I wonder if it's the sudden initiation of the interaction, which is scary, or the fact that it's such an unnatural interaction. Like, you can't see the person, you can't like read their emotions and everything. It's not like being in person. Or I imagine there's different elements of it that are
it could also be just the nature of what you're calling someone for, because I guess most phone calls are about initiating something, booking yourself in for an appointment, booking yourself in for whatever. Whereas you don't do that in person all that much. You don't walk down to the doctors usually and then say, can I book in next week? So
I have done that though, to avoid a phone call.
The phone call. Well, okay, then it's definitely something about the specific phone call then. All the way down from Boho to Vanilla Doctors.
It's going to pop down to the shops.
Can I book in?
I'm here 45-minute drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know lots. Like at work, that was something I used to have to do all the time. call customers and stuff, call them back about things. And I mean, generally things that they wanted to be called about, but I remember for a long time it was hard to, like, push through that. You know what I mean? You kind of put it off. I'd put off that job until the very last minute that I could, making phone calls. Now I don't really care as much because I assume, my kind of perspective on it is that I'm just doing a small part of a larger thing. If people are angry at me on the phone, they're not really angry at me. They're angry at, the business or something like that, it's... But yeah, you can sort of take it very personally if you're not careful.
Yeah, not identifying with things is a very important part of gaining some confidence. Not identifying with
Big
other people's
corporations.
anger. McDonald's.
Yeah.
I identify as McDonald's.
I am the golden arches.
You're allowed to.
But when I was up in... Yeah, so it can be a matter of just doing it, though. Like, it's never a good thing to hear because your parents are always like, you just got to do it. And I was like, but isn't there another way?
Well, you've just got to fuck off.
Yeah. Basically. But there was a guy up in Queensland on the trip. There was a bloke who... He was pretty cool. He had a lot of trouble, apparently, when he was younger. He was a plumber doing phone calls because he had a speech impediment. So he had, like, a serious anxiety about calling people on the phone because that one element of connection was compromised for him. And so he just wouldn't do it until he said he started his own business, and then he had to, and then now he can speak on the phone.
It's pretty awesome. That sort of stuff is pretty amazing. Like when people, differing levels of things, but when you see people start out with something from like just like birth, I look at people who have different impediments, whether it be physical or psychological, and you like they have stuff that they have to push through more so than others. It's just kind of amazing, you see those kids where they finally get like a prosthetic limb or something, having been born without it, and what a difference that must make in their life. But I'm just endlessly amazed by how persistent people are in the face of adversity. That really amazes me. Gives me a lot of strength. That's true though. Like I draw a lot of inspiration from it. Just watching people overcome things that you yourself kind of would go, oh, there's no way I could, get past that or live with that. And
yeah. Sometimes it's hard to comprehend that though because it's not your reality.
Definitely.
Yeah, you'd be like, that's easy.
Yeah.
Be complaining about child with no arm. I've had an arm for years. No one gives me a medal.
Yeah, but it's So I guess it is all relative too. Everyone's got their own dragons.
Metaphors.
But yeah.
Yeah, because some people you see with specific difficulties might not have difficulties in other areas.
And I'm sure there's people out there that have those kind of difficulties, like disabilities and lose an arm or something. And I'm sure there's ones that just don't take to it with a huge amount of grace. Fuck this! Fucking
like
bullshit!
That'd be me.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that, really.
We just don't make Instagram posts about those bits.
That's true.
They're not the most inspiring.
Yeah, they don't get on the morning shows. But they'd have to be. They'd have to be when you think about the amount of people that would suffer injuries in the world, and yet you only hear about like a couple here and there.
The ones who do it well, kind of thing.
Yeah, or the ones that do it extremely well. The ones that
the Paralympians.
Because there would be other ones that just. Because I feel like those people lean into they kind of go, I've got no legs. People say I can't run. Fuck fuck you, you know, I'm going to get the prosthetic legs, those amazing things, and train and all that kind of stuff. You know, they lean into the opposite of the expectation. The expectation is they can't run, so they go all the way and they become these champion runners. And then there would be other people that would just do other things. That would go, well, that's... Either they would say that's unrealistic for themselves, or it just wouldn't even comprehend it. They don't want or need to be an Olympic athlete, and they're just out there working normal jobs with prosthetic limbs on. So it's not like they're not taking to it well.
No.
They're just...
It's not,
It's not their define... It doesn't define them as much, I guess.
And that's probably me putting on, like, some sort of expectation of, like, excellence or something, which is, like, as in... Or extraordinaryism kind of thing, like, which I think is something that we do... humans do a lot. Like... Look at all that stuff that's, you know, someone else is doing. If only I could aspire to be do the same level of awesomeness. Whereas, like you're saying, it takes all kinds of people at all different levels.
Well, it's just like looking at Ian Thorpe and going, well, all Australians must be really good swimmers. Some of us just can't even swim. Just flounder out there.
I didn't learn to keep my head up for, like, till I was 16. I think I'd just swim with my friend.
I thought you meant just in general. You walk around with your head down.
Kept walking into lampposts.
It's a rare disorder. But no, I would just swim underwater all the time because I couldn't keep my head up. So I just like, wait up, guys! When everyone was swinging over to the rope swing, I'm like,
I got a foot of water. And like, I'm in water. Lie down in it. I don't know how to keep my head out. I didn't know that.
Can you guys float on your back?
On my back?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah?
'Cause I cannot. Mum can, and then me and my dad, we just sink. And if we like breathe
Irish.
in, we're like, yeah.
You're drunk, Owen.
Everyone's like, it's swimming lessons I remember as a kid. They're like, it's all right, you know, you don't have to worry. Just if you feel tired, just lie on your back. I'm
Someone
like,
get
but
the
then
bottle
I'll
of water.
fucking sink.
I can lie face down, or I can float at the bottom of the pool. Well, fine, you go and have your time at the bottom of the pool.
Sinks away. No, I think I can.
Lucky bastards.
Everyone told me I couldn't float when I was young, though. See, I had to train. I lent into it.
Very hard. We've floated on our backs pretty much our whole lives. No, I think I can. It's been a while since I've been in a pool, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think the last time I swam was, like, out at Dad's place 5 summers ago.
Where do you had the pool?
Many moons.
I don't... Maybe in the lake or the river at some point when we canoed.
we definitely ended up in the water when we were canoeing.
No, I think I floated.
Actually, I don't think it was deep enough for us to float.
No.
Because we figured out pretty quickly we could stand up.
Yeah.
I don't think I've swum in really deep water in ages.
Really?
Like, even the dam out at Lurg, when we all lived at Lurg.
It just hasn't been that deep.
Yeah, like, there was only certain spots of it that you couldn't touch, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And then
swim in that for a fair while because it was so radioactive.
Yeah. You just get in and get out real quick.
Yeah. Minimise the glowing.
Go and have a decontamination shower. And then we go to Edai cutting, but that wasn't deep enough to swim. So I honestly don't think I've been in, like, really deep water for years. Maybe I can't float anymore. Maybe I've lost the shine. I've lost the float.
You'll float too.
I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe
Thanks
Pennywise.
for the confidence, Pennywise.
Disappointed. You can't float. Yeah. It's
Well, my brother was talking about wanting to get into some swimming. So we should totally organise a magic card
Beach
swimming
party!
day.
Yeah, right. I can't say I'm a huge swimming fan, but I would do it. I guess.
Just to fit in with everyone else.
There won't be any sharks.
Yeah.
We'll make you a little cage
You
and we'll
sure?
like, pull it around with you.
Actually,
Probably not crocodiles.
we should go out to Edo cutting again.
Definitely sharks there.
That was definitely nice.
We need to go somewhere
It was.
deep.
Oh.
Actually,
Deep.
and it would be pretty good still now, wouldn't it? With
Edo?
the rain stuffs on a warm day.
Yeah,
Mm.
I reckon. Be pretty full. What about Lake William Hobble?
Oh yeah,
That was nice.
we should go there before it get. Wait, what season is? Yeah, it'll be full.
Yeah. Wait, where am I?
Here is this. Yeah, we should definitely do that.
Especially because that's kind of like going swimming in the ocean,
Because it's blue.
and like it's blue everywhere, and there's waves
Yeah.
because of the. I don't know why. Just because of the wind, I
Wind,
guess.
yeah.
It's big enough. It creates wind.
Because of the
Science.
monster out the side. They put the science in it.
Yeah. Lake's full of signs.
Yeah.
There's
It's
somebody-
weird that there's not little waves on small amounts of water. If it's just because of wind. why are puddles not like all the time? I guess because they just move. Puddles just move in the.
Imagine that. Imagine if you just saw pieces of water, like, they were filling up one puddle and then it's like. all like moved into the next puddle.
Like the symbiote from Venom or something. Did it move? It's like, well, isn't that what. Those moving rocks. Isn't that something to do with moving water or is that moving ice?
Moving rocks.
You know those pictures and videos on the internet of the rocks that in that particular spot in Australia that leave trails
Oh,
in
yes.
like up in the desert sort of areas.
I don't think I've seen it.
Oh, it's really weird, and there's people have added the science to it, and it's not so interesting once you know the science. But the pictures are just these rocks. There's all these sort of I don't know like soccer ball, basketball sized rocks. That sort of, and they're sitting there, but there's these like huge trails going for like ages behind them. Like they've been just moving through the dirt. And there's footage of like they move really slowly, but there's people that film it, and you can see them just going like along the ground, leaving a trail. And the science of it apparently is something to do with because of the extreme temperatures. There's water, like there's very small amounts of water on this plane, and it freezes
On one side.
and then because there's water under ice on top, rocks set in the ice, and supposedly the wind there's enough resistance because of the rock that the rock will get pushed by the wind and like slide along on the top of this ice that's on top of water. It's really weird. That's sort of how they
Have to look it up.
they explain it.
I call bullshit. It's a government
I
conspiracy.
think
There's aliens up there.
Why? Because their theory is that the rocks are lifted out of the ground, sort of thing. They're off the ground by the ice. But then why do they leave such big trails?
This sounds the sort of
The
thing that
trail's like-
lizard people would make up.
yeah, trying to keep us down without knowing
They
the
want us
truth.
to be thinking about why the rocks are moving and
Yeah.
not why there's bad things.
dragons.
That's right.
So yeah, you should look it up. They're called like the. I can't remember what the name is. There's something like
The creepy rocks.
The creepy rocks. Yeah, the haunted rocks.
Rolling
I want to
Stone.
know who went out there and decided to film it. It's like,
Some fucking nerd with their life.
I want to know who wanted to destroy it, come up with this stupid ice theory,
Yeah.
and not just let us all think that the rocks are moving.
that's
Yeah.
right.
I was thinking the other night, I was watching a documentary about like human evolution and genetics and stuff. And I was just thinking, about all the people who like try and disprove this stuff, and it led me to think about like bigger arguments about like government conspiracies and things, and how sometimes you do go, well, actually the truth, or what we're told is the truth, kind of sounds just as ridiculous as the conspiracy theory, like that. Just when you were describing that, kind of sound like, sometimes you hear something and you go, yeah, that seems logical, and then you think about it and you're like, well, actually it doesn't really seem logical. So because
But
that does seem logical, but
I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me.
But that's the problem. You're not supposed to question it once someone's given you an explanation. Like some people, a lot of people actually, I feel, just want an explanation that they can use and say that's the answer. So they can put that in the box. Even if it doesn't make a lot of sense to them, as long as enough people, like other people, will believe that it's also like the right answer, then they're happy with it.
Yeah.
Whereas like some of us are just like more like, I prefer to think, oh, that's a possible answer, but I'll never know the real answer. And a lot of people don't like that. It's like, no, but what's the actual fact of the matter?
Yeah, and it's funny now you've got people like the flat earthers, who's a bit of a reaction to that, but they're still doing the same thing. That they're saying, no, it's not round. It's definitely
and trying
fucking flat.
Trying
disc.
to pull out scientific
Yeah.
justifications for it.
For why it's flat, instead of going like, why isn't there more theories? Why is it just either the Earth's round or it's flat? Why isn't there more theories? Why isn't there other sects of the flat earthers saying no, it's square?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like why don't they go the whole way of the Earth is flat, but we just perceive it as round because we can't understand properly.
That's kind of how
go further rather than coming back to.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to justify it with science that is like, the science itself is like, no, it's round.
Yeah.
So they need to go a step further.
Yeah, and go, well, your science just can't perceive
that's right.
how flat it actually is. This is so flat.
Let's work out how to
round.
justify flat Earth.
I don't know, with the whole, I don't know, from my very limited understanding of space and time and all that kind of stuff, and the way, like, light bends and all that sort of weird stuff. I don't see why it couldn't be that it's just the way we see it.
Yeah.
When we look at it, and
Well,
it's something completely different. It's actually a weird squiggle.
Yeah.
That the Earth is actually a tube.
Yeah.
Do you remember,
We're on
like,
the
in
inside
old
of the
computer
tube.
games where you used to, like, drive off the map in one direction and you come back to the map on the other side? As though the
No,
world...
I
was
don't
like-
think I ever did that.
In, like, games like Lego Island, if you got in a helicopter and just drove off the island in one direction, instead of, like, coming to an edge and saying you can't go any further, you would just suddenly come back to the island. You would leave, you wouldn't be able to see it behind you, and then you'd come back to the island, but on the other side, as though you'd gone around the world. But it was actually just... It wasn't. It just reset you back to the edge. So that's what I think
But it
the
was
world's probably like.
Like a Lego World video game.
But it was seamless. I know this is not the point of that story, but you never actually noticed the bit where it reset, yeah?
I can't remember. Possibly there was. Like, maybe I'd notice it now with my attuned video game senses.
Used to 60 FPS.
That's
and,
right. But back when I was 12, I was like, this is amazing!
Oh, there's a new land coming up.
I used to do that. I was like, yes, I found another island. Ah, shit. It's just the same one.
what would be great is if when you did that, you like they made you go through some kind of weird thing, and then what you're seeing and coming at you is yourself.
Yeah.
Driving towards yourself, and then you just like can't avoid it because you're both doing the same thing, and then
Get super
then you
meta.
crash,
Yeah.
and then you just respawn. Be impressive though if when it does do that, it didn't. There was no like loading. It's just like seamlessly went. Whoop, you're back on the other side.
I feel like it was like that because I, like, maybe it was just wishful thinking at the time because I really did hope that there was another island out there. And there was, but it was just the same one. Such a good metaphor for all sorts of things. I use this all the time.
I think we should dig into this.
Lego
this
Island.
The Lego Island
yearning
theory.
for something more. I wish there was another land. We just weren't happy with that one land.
That's right. Well, I explored all that. Built all those little Lego houses. Crashed into all those little Lego people.
He wanted to go to another Lego island. It displaced the native Lego inhabitants and colonized that Lego land.
That's right.
Plant his blocky flag. But no, it's a good example. It's a good example of all the weird ways that the world could actually be.
Not all of them, like a small selection.
One selection.
It could be flat, round, square, or a sort of tube shape.
Or Lego Island.
Yeah, that stuff's weird.
When you fly into space, you just come back around the other side.
Yeah.
And you're back at Earth.
It's an easy way to do things. Maybe we need to look into how they did that in Lego World. You know.
Code, I'm assuming.
No. Go deeper than that.
Okay.
Man.
How they
sorry.
really did it.
I'm still on the surface.
Not the bullshit answer.
Yeah. Cut through
real
the
answer.
matrix.
how they did that.
Do some ayahuasca.
Wonder how much drugs the people who made Legoland were on.
All the drugs. Same with the people who did Sesame Street.
It's true. Actually, I wonder, like, the percentage of people making children's entertainment, most of them must be on drugs.
Yeah.
You'd have
At the
to
very least, antidepressants.
Oh, definitely.
All the ones who aren't on some kind of psychedelic are definitely on antidepressants.
Methamphetamine. Just like, yeah. I mean,
Today, kids were going through the round window just after I've done some crack.
it's I think it would be a very singular experience making children's entertainment on ketamine. No, I think like
Well, you look at their energy levels.
Yeah.
There's something going on. No one's that enthusiastic about dancing around with dolls.
man, those kids shows are really weird.
Which ones?
Just all the kids shows.
Just all the kids shows.
No, like Play School and that sort of thing. Like,
I don't know. I feel like that would be actually... Play school would be more natural. Because if you could get over the fact there wasn't actually any kids there and you're, like, playing in a stage with a guy playing piano and... Like, it'd just be like playing with kids.
co-stars snorting lines of cocaine and
Off camera.
Yeah.
No, I can get into that, I think.
the snorting lines of cocaine.
The craft section when they're like, okay, we're gonna make an elephant, and
Yes.
they stick some pipe cleaners to a toilet roll. And next week they're like, we're gonna make a giraffe, and they stick some pipe cleaners to a toilet roll.
It's all about the imagination.
Do you think... I sometimes find those kids shows, with... Have you ever, like... I don't know, you might be, like, eating breakfast or something, and it's on. The TV's on, and you're watching a kid show. Admittedly, this hasn't happened to me in a long time, but maybe, like, when Asher was, like, much younger. And there was something on, and you'd be watching it and be like, we're gonna make, an alligator. Go get your egg cartons and, a couple of orange juice lids and, like, the pipe cleaners and some glue and goggly eyes or whatever the fuck it was. And I'd be sitting there going, like, fuck, you're going to make an alligator. Piss off. You're going to make an alligator out of that shit. And then as you watch, you're like, oh, I see what you're doing here. And by the end, you've, like, been turned, you're like, fuck, they did make an alligator. Well done.
Can't say I've had that experience.
I could, I just couldn't envision it. And then they make it, and it's like, wow. I would have been that dumb ape that was like, oh, you created fire. You're the god. Oh.
5 seconds ago,
I'll follow you anywhere.
there was all these elements.
Sure, I'll give you a
It's an
blowjob.
alligator.
Yeah.
I just think about the parents who, like, didn't buy eggs or something and then the kids, like, bullied them into buying egg cartons so they could make an alligator.
All the battery hens that died just so people can
Make an alligator.
make play school projects. Fuck. Yes.
Did I ever tell you about the time, like, I went to school and the physics teacher was like, they wanted to do that thing where you put a bread clip in water and then put a little dot of detergent at the back so it, like, disengages the surface tension at the back of the bread clip, and then so the surface tension at the front pulls it along.
Oh no, I've never
And
seen
so
this
it's
stuff.
like, everyone has to bring in bread clips and I didn't because we didn't. Yeah, because we made bread.
Yeah.
I'm like, he goes, yeah, I'm like, I don't have bread. I don't think anyone brought in bread clips though. And then so he, like, was going off about this, and he's like, oh, like, we got to do one thing. You had to bring in a bread clip, and then for some reason he singled me out, and he's like, oh, why didn't you bring in bread clip? I'm like, we don't buy bread. And he's like, you're lying. Like, no.
Detention.
Get out of my class.
I just found the last of the fucking hunter-gatherers. You're dead.
Yeah, we don't buy bread. The lights just go black and
Yeah.
turn red. The cage drops down around them. All the other kids get a fucking sleeping dart to the neck. Straight out, and they wake up. The teacher's just like, okay, guys, what we're going to do next week is when you put a bread clip in a bit. So everyone bring bread clip. Where's Owen? Who's Owen?
What is Owen?
Yeah.
It's human, such human thing, you know, like.
Why didn't the teacher just bring a fucking bread clip?
I don't know.
God, yeah.
Why didn't you just eat a couple loaves of bread? Like, I don't know, how many kids are in a classroom?
20.
How
I'm asking the wrong crowd.
How long's a piece of string?
Yeah, that's my answer to most questions
Yeah.
I don't understand. What's
How
wrong with your
long-
tax return?
yeah.
What? How long's a piece of
Yeah.
string?
How many people in a classroom? I don't know. How long's a piece of string? And what's the government incentive here?
How long's a piece of string? And if I keep pulling it, what government conspiracies will I unravel?
Never
Will the sweater unravel and reveal a lizard man? I don't know. 10 to...
Oh, it's not really
8
important.
to 8 to 24.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Bring 8 bread clips.
Yeah, surely.
Surely
You can buy...
Why does it have
Gotta,
to be a bread
look around
clip?
the staff room or something? There'd be some on the floor.
Jesus.
Couldn't it be something... Yeah, couldn't it be something other than the bread clip?
I don't know,
Like
maybe
a
he just had his
small-
heart set on it.
Small piece of cardboard.
Credit card?
Surely that would work.
He cuts his credit card up.
Fine, well, I guess we'll have to do this.
Yeah.
Cut it up into little bits so that everyone gets one.
Yeah, that's right. He cuts it into a bread shape. Not a bread shape.
Yeah. Uses a hole punch to stamp
Yeah.
out the little clip bit.
It's a classic thing though, isn't it? Like, let's use our fucking plastic refuse to try and teach science about a world that we're slowly destroying.
What would that actually have... I mean, I'm not being cynical here. I'm asking for an actual answer.
Justify.
How would that translate to any kind of usable science later in life?
When you
It doesn't.
Go for your job interview. And what other skills can you do? Watch this.
Yeah. You say it was
You want to go bread tag?
detergent.
Yeah.
So kids grow up and get in a boat and they're like, I'm not gonna row. I'm just gonna take a bottle of detergent, squeeze it out behind the boat.
that
Breaking
work?
the
No.
surface tension.
Sounds like one of those things like when you try for hours, like, and trying not to let anyone see you trying to lift yourself up on a chair.
You've mentioned this before. And
Yeah.
I just,
It's something that other people do.
I still don't think I've ever tried to.
But why wouldn't it work?
What's the premise? You're trying to lift yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting on the chair.
Yep.
I can lift a chair. I'm not sure if I can lift my body weight, but like, why can't I while I'm sitting on the chair, lift myself up?
Little thing called gravity.
Have you tried putting detergent under the chair? Just a little bit of it. And a paper
Breaks the
clip if
surface
you've got one.
tension of reality. Which is also what happens if you inhale enough detergent. That'll break your surface detention.
Do you guys ever read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Oh, yes.
I have not.
The ones afterwards?
No.
No.
Well, in one of the
I
sequels.
didn't read those either.
I don't think it's a spoiler or anything.
Okay.
But you can't really spoil those because there's no real direction to any of the books. But there's this part where he learns to fly, and it's just a matter of forgetting about gravity, and then so if you forget about gravity or something, it just like doesn't apply to you anymore. So the idea is to fly, you just have to forget to fall. And it's like that thing of like, don't think of a polar bear. You just have to just not think about falling, and you'll just float around.
It reminds me of that thing like where they talk about people who it's in the book of The Wire, or the book The Wire was based on, about shootouts and stuff and how there was records of like criminals or whatever getting shot and then walking around for like 12 minutes trying to jack a car so they can get away, despite the fact that they'd already sustained a fatal like head wound. And they're saying that a lot of the programming around, people falling down when they're shot is learned behaviour from TV.
Really?
Yeah. That if apparently that's what this book was saying.
Yeah. Well, I believe it, because I think, from horrible stories of people trying to commit suicide, there's a lot of ways you can get shot in the head that aren't, instantly fatal. There's a lot of parts of your brain that aren't necessarily like required. As we know, if you
There's
see
there's a
anyone
lot of your
down the
brain that you
street-
don't use.
Yeah. But
We only use 1% of our brain, man. If we could unlock that, like, other 99%,
yeah.
we'd probably not use it either.
'Cause it's useless.
Sorry.
It's just fatty tissue. The usable brain portion's only like a couple of
Do you know-
centimeters.
That other 99% is for remembering Pokemon.
That's right.
What is that? That other. What is that theory? Like, there is, like, you hear people say that all the time. We only use X amount of our
I think
brain.
that's a myth.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And it's isn't it to do with, like, I don't know. I could be one of those people who's not using enough of their brain. But, like, I thought it was something to do with, like, yeah, you can only use one of however much percent of your brain at a time.
I think the idea is like 6 or 10%, isn't it? I feel like they're the two numbers that people throw around.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's only 6%.
But it's like at a time.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
different
You know what I
parts of your brain are doing different things because they're physical. So if every part of your brain was firing at once, you'd be having some sort of aneurysm.
Or you're just doing every possible thing.
That's right.
Once. Like juggling, reading a book, having sex.
Bonobos must be doing a lot of their brain. Successfully mentioned them in three successive podcasts.
Is that going to be a theme?
Yeah, I think so. Might have to change the name of the podcast just to
Yeah.
Bonobos.
Stuff and bonobos.
Suck on it with Bonobos.
Suck on bonobos.
I'll gladly do that.
What were we talking about before that?
Talking about bread tags. Bread tags and science. Isn't it classic?
Douglas Adams.
Bread science.
Oh, yeah.
What's classic?
Just like thinking about the science experiments I've done in my life. I've done the bicarbon vinegar volcano trick.
Oh, yeah. You done the one
Yeah.
where you, like, they make the popper thing, like little rocket, with the film container? I'm sad now that film containers aren't a thing. There's a whole generation of, or generations to come will not experience the popping of film containers.
I didn't experience this.
You just, like, put some vinegar in one of those white, like, camera film containers, and then some bicarb soda and pop the lid on, put it upside down, and then, like, fizzes, and then the whole, like, container pops off the lid and goes into the sky.
No, I never did.
Or at your siblings if you point it out.
I did the match one where you put all the, like, a few matches facing each other, so the heads are meeting, and then wrap it in aluminium foil, and then light another match and hold it under it, and it heats up, and eventually shoots the matches out, like a little match cannon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's the stuff.
So
For some reason, they don't teach that shit in schools.
Yeah, it's almost like it's dangerous. I remember, speaking of science, not even experiments, but I remember having like a joint homeschool lesson at your house. Owen.
Joints?
Joints.
Now, this is how you roll a joint, kids. No, please, go on.
Joint homeschooling. Fuck. Where
Where you'd all sit down, pretend you were at school.
Yeah, and pretend you were learning something.
Our parents must have felt really insecure at that point in time. Like, fuck, we've got to do, like, you know, let's all come together. I feel like
Right now.
And what happened?
Just the cell. Do you remember we made the cells?
Yes, I do remember this.
Like, it was like science, biology, some fucking thing.
Yeah.
And that I never used again in the rest of my life. But to understand like the structure of a cell,
Yeah.
someone either off the internet or came up with the idea of like making a massive cell. So we all made our own cells out of like sandwich bags and like jelly and then different kinds of. I don't know what they were. It was like other liquid, wasn't it, that would stay separated. So I don't know if it was then like oil that was
Yeah.
put into. Do you remember that? Because there's
Yeah,
little
rings a vague bell.
little red dots floating around in it. Yeah,
Cool.
just a weird memory that came back talking about science experiments.
So I'm just made up of fucking sandwich bags and jelly, Mum?
jelly with oil,
Pretty much.
food dye in it.
It's about the sum total of you, darling.
Yeah.
There was in the documentary last night. It was like, you know, obviously 50% of the genetic material comes from your mother and 50% from your father. I was like, bullshit. 50%. Fuck off. It's probably true. I'm probably just a dumb ape man. I don't know. Just the whole.
Wait, where do you think the other?
No, it's no.
Jesus.
The big man upstairs. No, I do believe the science. I just questioned it in the moment. I was just like, 50%.
So you're saying
like exactly 50%.
Your idea was that it could vary.
Yes.
Sometimes you'd get more DNA.
A small percentile difference. I don't know. I would like to read further into that. Not that I deny that it's true. I would just like to educate myself further on it. Because I just said like twice. I was like, you can. I get that, sperm, egg. Oh, look, it's 50-50. But, I don't know. It just seemed preposterous.
But have you seen the relative size of the sperm to the egg?
It's like
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like the Death Star.
That's right.
Taking in the Millennium Falcon in its tractor beam.
The sperm's like swimming up there. It's like,
That's not a move.
Yeah. That is no move. All the TIE fighters come out to escort the sperm.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
What's your point about the relative side that you feel like? It's
the sperm doesn't have 50%. Either that or the egg's really like.
You better
what's
back
the
up my point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bullshit, man. No, I would really like to educate myself further on that sort of stuff. I mean, I get it. I get the principle of it.
We did cell biology down in Tasmania.
You sold biology?
Yeah, sold all of
How
it.
much did you make?
We privatised biology. Not enough to justify it, but it was enough to get some more votes for now.
What did you cover in that?
Cells,
Yeah.
stuff, I don't know. I was saying because we did like cell division and everything, but I don't know if that actually applies. Because I was trying to think, because they were talking about the chromosomes and everything, and like I feel like you're right.
Do you get what I mean though?
Yeah,
like this
no,
idea that
it's
it's 50-50. Like, I don't like in terms of. Maybe I mean.
No, I think it is 50-50.
Yeah.
Because like the DNA, like it's chopped in half.
Yeah, right.
So and the other half, but then, yeah.
No, like
You have to look
I'm
into
sure
it
there's a
more.
way that makes sense because it probably is. Yeah, I'm sure it does make sense. That seems like something that's well and truly been worked out. Just my dumb brain in that. Well,
I don't know. I think it's never safe to use round numbers.
that's easy.
Like I feel like maybe if it is like consistent, maybe it's like 51.8003% the females genetics all the time. And whatever the other part is.
You screwed yourselves there, didn't you?
Let me just get a piece of paper.
Anyway.
You should just use round numbers. It would have been easier.
That was just one of those things where you lie in bed.
But that's good though.
You'd
Like
be
that's your attitude of like questioning coming out, which I think is something that's really important.
What is how you learn?
Yeah, like because there'd be so many people who go, "Oh, really?" And then we'll go down to the bowls club and be like, "Did you know, la-di-da-di-da?" And then everyone's like, "It's all exactly 50-50," and the reality is, the scientists never even said that, and they're like, "We didn't say that."
Yeah.
And someone on them.
There was someone with their grandkid at that bowls club. That grandkid grew up to do a documentary and just chucked that fucking 50-50 pseudoscience
50%.
in their documentary.
The same people.
Hey dog.
It's the same people who watch
Daisy the dog's trying to get through the door.
Yeah. I want to be on the podcast. It's the same people who watch, Fox News and go, "Did you know that the Quran is a tome of violence?"
Wow, I didn't know that. I thought the Muslims were genuinely innocent people.
I better do a documentary.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think sometimes that whole saying, there are no stupid questions. There might be ignorant questions, but the only way to really further your understanding is...
Sometimes asking ignorant questions is really important though, because what is considered an ignorant question is actually like the question that no one asked, because it's like, oh, it's an ignorant question, and it's like, oh wait, actually that's a good point.
Yeah.
I've remained pretty curious throughout my life. I feel like that. Like, there's a lot of stuff I admit I don't know, but like particularly stuff to do with science and stuff at the moment is really like fascinating me, wanting to understand more of how it works, I guess. And, yeah.
Yeah. I think
I hope everyone can pick up that dog in the podcast. It's all right, Daisy.
No, I think it's really important for people to stay curious. Stay curious, children.
Daisy's definitely curious about what's going on in here.
She can smell my slice.
Should we just let her in?
I was gonna say, I'm just gonna open the door.
Do it. Yeah.
But like, so many problems would be averted if people would just like ask questions.
Yes. Questions are more important than answers, I think. We were talking about this with Franco again as well, and I feel like sometimes we do retread territory on this podcast, but talking about those conversations that just keep expanding instead of narrowing, which I feel like they're two kinds of conversations. Either you have those conversations where you start with some big concept and you narrow it down, boil it down until you understand it. Or it goes the other way where you just keep going, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And it sort of exponentially grows until you just start out with less information than you started. Or maybe more information but less certainty.
Just spread out more.
Yeah.
It's like developing all sorts of things to go out and then work on rather than... Yeah, I never actually thought about conversations like that. Divergent and convergent.
Well, I'd never really thought about them and put them in those terms, but I feel like we have had those conversations. Back at the kitchen, on the kitchen floor at Lurg.
The ones that go out or...
The ones that go out. The ones that go out.
I don't know if I've ever had a conversation that's narrowed down to actually answer a question. What if it does?
True.
No, normally if I answer a question along the way, it's just like that. It's along the way. Like all of a sudden I go, actually, that slots in nicely with this.
Yeah.
This question I've been asking about stuff.
Yeah. Whereas I feel like the conversations generally do go the other way. That someone will start with something of like, oh, did you read this? Do you know this? And then we all shoot holes in it.
But joke about it as though as though we're
that.
not seriously saying that they're idiots.
Yeah, it kind of does happen that way though.
But it's good. It's good to like question things, and that's why I find it's really uncomfortable talking to people who aren't prepared to do that. Who say did you know this? And it's a fact that they've accepted and say they've just locked that in as the way things are. So instead of having them being able to go, oh, cool, all right, so why? Why is that accepted? Why does it work? How might it not work? Let's think of some situations that might shoot holes in it.
Yeah.
Instead of being able to play with it, it's like, no, we're not playing with this. This is part of my reality.
This is what we know, and I'm going to leave it there because it suits me just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love shooting holes and stuff.
How do you feel about gun laws?
We got getting my license again, actually.
So you shoot some holes in some more ideas?
Yes. Well, yeah. More like physical things rather than ideas. That sounded worse.
Yeah.
You ain't getting your life.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's recorded.
I mean, physical rabbits.
Yeah.
I think...
The poor rabbits!
But I'm conflicted because I also like want to do like bow hunting or something like that. Maybe I should not get my shooting license again and just do bow hunting instead out of necessity.
What could you just do both?
I could.
I also feel like a gun license, if you want to go out somewhere and shoot animals with a bow and arrow, it's probably not a bad idea to have your gun license.
Yeah, so
then if
sees
people
you're responsible.
Yeah, you're like, well, I just
it would be a good thing to have, especially on a farm.
Yeah.
There was a video about a tribe, I think they're the Khoisan, and they were hunting, and I just noticed the bows and stuff that they were using. It's also like light. Like the bows almost look like they're just made out of bamboo or something, and the arrows are like almost very flexible looking with just these really needle-like points on them. And I remember in that Todd Sampson documentary, that series that he was doing about like sort of most dangerous lifestyles or whatever, the most extreme lifestyles, where he lived with like Sherpas and he lived with a tribe like this for a little bit and went hunting with them, and it was the same sort of thing, but it just made me think, all our bows and arrows and stuff, they're so heavy duty that we have. They'd be like carbon fibre, huge draw weights and stuff like that. These guys, it just looked like flimsy as, but they were hunting, I don't know if they're gazelles or whatever, but, those sort of grazing, antlered creatures.
Yeah.
And one thing I thought was, it's probably got toxin on it, because that's what they used in the documentary that Todd Sampson was on, was they would put frog poison or whatever it was on the tips, and you had to be careful, because if you stabbed yourself, you were dead, kind of thing. I don't know, it just made me sort of think. You have all these assumptions about, how different styles of hunting work and the different equipment. Like, my idea is, oh god, it must be, got to be really strong and all that, which I guess is true to a point, but it was just really interesting to watch them.
Yeah.
I think our Western sensibilities are always tended towards more than you need.
Yeah.
Surplus.
Well, yeah, and our, specifically bows, we come from a context of people versus people and, war.
That's true.
And, yeah, the idea of hunting sort of fits into the same vein. Like, whenever anyone from the West thinks of bows, it's powerful, and shooting a heavy-ish arrow and a broad head quickly to destroy tissue. Like you say, if it's really just to put the poison into the animal, then you just need a needle.
Yeah.
And also, in wars, they needed arrows to be super powerful, so they could punch through armor and stuff. Whereas if your whole point is to just get close, to hunt an animal, get up really close, and then hit it in the heart, and you don't have to go through armor or anything, you pick your shot, and it doesn't necessarily need to be...
it definitely doesn't need to be a gun.
No.
When you think about the kind of fucking hunting rifles people shoot animals with.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense. But I think also, I always had that in my head as well, that to have a real bow that would actually kill animals or whatever, it would need to be something super, really powerful thing. But even that one, just the recurve bow that I had, which I have completely forgotten what poundage it was. I can't remember if it was 50 or 70 or somewhere in between. But it was pretty powerful.
Yeah, well, I haven't looked into the legislation, but I think it's either 40 or 50 pounds is the minimum for hunting deer.
Yeah.
And then I think there's there must be some sort of rules about the heads you use on the arrows. They have to be a certain width or something, the broad heads. I haven't looked into it.
Yeah.
Have you bow hunted before?
Hunted rabbits, but not proper game.
Yeah.
Rabbits are proper game. That's very insulting to rabbits. They taste fine.
And you've successfully killed rabbits with a bow?
No, normally I missed. I shot one.
Yeah.
But I didn't find it again, so I stopped after that because I felt bad.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing with...
It's going to come hunt you down and kill you, don't
Yeah.
It's just
on a scarred rabbit with some sort of mechanical limbs
and an eye patch.
And I'll be like, I really admire the way that rabbit overcame adversity and murdered Owen.
And I'll go, yeah, but you haven't seen all the other rabbits that just lean into this.
Yeah, but it's a really weird and interesting conversation to have with anyone. The idea of, do you eat meat, and would you if you killed it? Because I had a similar conversation with someone the other day, and they had the same view as me. It was like, no, I don't like eating meat very much, but if I killed it, I would. And yeah, it's always bizarre to me when you mention that to a lot of people. They're like, that's terrible, how could you do that? But yet they eat meat all the time.
Yeah.
And they're so distant from the reality of what it is and how it comes about.
Yeah. Yeah, I come across that a lot because mine is I would say mine's fairly similar to yours.
Your vegetarianism is stricter than mine, though.
Yeah, but the philosophy on killing it yourself and eating it is insane. I would eat it if I killed it. But so I think there's overlap between our philosophies, as in I'm very strict on not eating meat if I don't kill it, but would eat it if I did kill it, and yours starts somewhere in there as well. You don't like to eat meat unless you killed it, but then your element on you would eat it if you killed it pushes out beyond mine because you actually do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas it's more of a theoretical for me. If at some point I really feel the urge to eat meat, the way I will do it is to go and kill it. Or if I'm in a situation where I can have lots of animals that I can raise well and, give them a good life and then kill them and eat them, then I will do that. But at the moment, it's definitely not an active. It's just a hypothesis for me at the moment. So I think there's probably an overlap in the middle between our philosophies. But yeah, I come across the shock on both. You don't eat meat? Oh my God, I couldn't live without meat. I love a good steak. And then you say, well, I do actually like meat too. If I killed it myself, I would eat it. And, in the past have killed animals to eat them. And people go, what?
Yeah.
How could you do that to a poor chicken or a poor goat or a poor sheep?
It's incredible to me the double standards people have for different animals. Like the idea that killing and eating a horse is immoral and unthinkable, but killing and eating a sheep is fine.
Yeah.
Like there are some animals that are made for eating or something.
Yeah. Well, it's just so bred into us.
Yeah.
Since I don't know what started the distinction between those animals.
Yeah.
But at this point, most people wouldn't even occur to them that you could kill and eat a horse.
Yeah.
Or that they do kill and eat sheep. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so bred into you that those animals are for eating and those animals are for being beautiful and taking all your parents' money.
Classic example of that too is with is it Hinduism with cows? We slaughter cattle in droves here, but that would be unheard of over there, kind of thing. Like you said, the different cultural things of what is appropriate to eat and what isn't. I think, sorry.
No, I was just saying, people usually say it's tend towards the intelligence thing. Oh, horses are so intelligent, but sheep are pretty intelligent too.
Yeah, I don't really stand by any of the claims that many animals are stupid.
I think sheep tend to panic more. Do you know what I mean? Like, they do have that thing where people go, they're stupid because they do this. They just keep doing...
well, they have a flock mentality.
Yeah. And so when you've got just a couple of them in your paddock or whatever, and they're constantly out there on their own, they panic, and that comes across as stupid, but I don't actually think they are.
No.
I love that. Oh, sheep are stupid because they'll panic and run and fucking, bloody herd animals. Recently, 50 people were crushed after...
Standing still.
Evacuation of a fucking concert or something, or people get crushed.
It's a poor... Yeah, there's a lot of very weak justifications for killing animals and saying it's fine and we don't need to take responsibility because there's no moral implications. But I think... Yeah, people love to say, oh, fish don't feel pain, or, animals, barely feel pain, or they don't care that you take their children away from them. They don't know that, but I don't think any of it's true.
No,
and we're closer to animals, or animals are closer to us in the way we think and feel and experience than any of us are particularly comfortable accepting.
Yeah, because, I mean, really, the thing that it would take to stop people eating a cow, say, is for cows to start talking.
Yeah.
Which is only one... I know it's probably, if you want to go into the science of it, it's probably a lot of degrees for them to get to the point where they could talk. But in layman's terms, that's one thing that they would have to do if cows could suddenly talk. And even if they weren't having these kinds of conversations, but they were saying things like, ow, don't do that.
Or just saying what they think, hungry.
Yeah. People, there's no way.
Isn't that
there's
funny
no way.
thing though? And it shows how fucking biased we are against anything, and it really comes down to the extension of other. how unlike us can we make an animal? And the more unlike us they are, the less we give a shit. Because animals do talk. Cows do bellow, and, you know, they've shown, I don't know if they've shown cows, but I reckon they would have, but they've shown there's a lot of animals, they'll mourn if their children die. Like, animals communicate. They do speak, just not
But
human.
that's what I
Yeah,
mean.
I'm
Like,
with you,
it's
like-
such a, it's really, like, it seems like a stupid thing animals talking, but I feel like that's just the one step. Like, we have ignored all this other stuff so far. Like you said, the mourning, the you know, the parental instincts that animals obviously have,
The
fear, obviously pain, all that kind of stuff. We've ignored that, but I feel like it's just that one more thing, if they could suddenly start articulating to us in more clearly, because I mean they can to a certain extent.
Yeah, well, if you
Daisy definitely wanted to come through the door before when
Yeah.
she was.
it's a matter of like they are unlikely to accommodate our communication, but if you go to the effort of accommodating to their ways of communicating, then it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, and I still don't know if, know 100% that we shouldn't eat animals. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to put everyone out, put everyone to shame because I'm a vegetarian, I'm so much better. But it's just that disconnect. It's the thing that people won't acknowledge. It would be better if people acknowledged the amount of suffering that animals go through, because they would have more of an appreciation for the meat when they do eat it.
Yeah. No, I think it should be personal choice. Even if if everyone even does accept that animals have feelings and don't want to die and everything, I still wouldn't say you can't eat meat or that it's immoral to eat meat. It's just what bugs me is when people won't take responsibility for the reality of what it is.
Yeah.
I live in the ultimate hypocritical, like, zone for me. Like, I eat meat, I don't kill it myself, and I have a whole gamut of, like, guilty feelings about it. You know, like, I feel like that's a big thing that I'm trying to work out at the moment.
Even that is closer to what I'm saying. Sorry to interrupt.
No, go for it.
But just really quickly, that's what I'm saying. Like, you have the guilty feelings. Not that I'm saying everyone should feel guilt when they eat an animal, but you're closer to
Obviously working
what I'm
through
saying. You're at least aware. Wow, I feel like my body needs this, and I'm gonna eat it, and I'm gonna enjoy it. But I am aware that something suffered. So at the moment you're feeling guilty. But if people could not maybe feel guilty, but also not feel nothing, and just feel an appreciation for shit, this animal went through some pain, even if it was brief. It was probably scared for a bit. Someone had to turn its lights off.
It's acknowledging too, like, significance. You know, I think that it's so silly, but even like when playing Far Cry, I'm really like conscientious about not trying to avoid predators in the game. In that, I don't want to just have to kill things. You know what I mean? So, if, say, a pack of wolves attack me, I'll try and ward them off with fire. Or I'll even, like, try and run away and get away from them so I don't have to kill them, because it seems stupid to me. I don't need it. I don't need the meat or the pelt or whatever it is. Like, I try and get really specific and, like, be kind of accountable about what I do. And that's kind of is... I think it's where video games are amazing, and Asher actually said this the other day watching it. She was like, I really like watching this game. It feels like I'm learning stuff about history. She's like learning how people used to live and things like that. And it made me really go, holy fuck, like, they cop a lot of shit sometimes, video games, but the really great games are that opportunity. They can teach you shit. Like, you do learn a lot of crap. Like, even if it's not step for step, you know, we're going to teach you flint knapping or something. You get the idea. Fuck, these guys had to collect stone and wood, and that's how they made their tools, and that slow progression, you know, like from where you start out in that game with basically nothing, with sticks and stones, and by the end of it, your technology has advanced, you know, where you've got more advanced bowcraft and slings and
You're
traps
riding fucking
and things.
saber-toothed
Yeah.
tigers.
Great learning experience.
Yes. I think there is education happening there, and it's in such an immersive way. And I've even seen, like, the way Asher is thinking more about things, about interactions with animals and stuff like that. that it would be hard to sit down and go, all right, let's learn about the Stone Age. You know?
Yeah, you don't engage with it like that. And people can say, oh, Far Cry Primal Jake, it's not exactly historically accurate. And, but people don't engage with historically accurate. And besides, none of us were there.
And that's the essence of it.
Yeah, nobody can conjure up in their mind the actual reality of what it was like. And so any attempt to do so is still just fiction. So what's wrong with having an immersive and interesting fictional sort of picture in your head and experience of it to get those ideas in your head?
Because it inspires me to go and learn more.
Exactly.
That's what I was about to say.
That's what I found. Like, I'll go out and spend an hour to grind a rock because the game made it look fun.
Well, yeah, the game makes it look fun, and then you go, well, okay, I want to do that. How do they actually do it?
Yeah, what does it
and
actually
then you look
feel
it up,
like?
and then you go, okay, I'm going to do it that way, and then that's sort of like that 3-step progression to education. And it's sort of the same as the example I always use is Blood Diamond, the movie. That was a really good, entertaining, really intense movie set in the sort of the blood diamond, obviously, the diamond trade in Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
Which is something I knew nothing about before watching the movie. And the movie itself is a bit of an action movie, and it's it's a bit Hollywood and all that kind of stuff, and it's not an actual story that actually happened. But it made me go, oh wow. At the end when it gives you some real facts, some statistics and stuff, you then go and research it afterwards.
Yeah.
So even though the movie itself is not representing 100% accurate, this actually happened. It's like, it's based in a world that's close to our reality, and sparks that interest in it where you go,
Yeah.
oh, I feel like I should really learn about this. And so it's kind of done its job, even though you wouldn't take Blood Diamond as your one educational resource for the diamond trade in Sierra Leone.
And that's what seems to be missing from so many educational experiences, or why people hear the word education and go, grown. Because you need to make people identify with it and give them the interest. Like, someone who is naturally obsessed with history would accidentally, perhaps, look at facts and numbers and dates and stuff in books and be able to create a world around it and be passionate about it and be excited by it and think, oh my God, this actually happened. These were real people. Most people don't come at it that way. So the better way to teach, I think, is you have to activate the excitement, that passionate about it, and get people to really want to learn about it. And then you can start feeding in the facts and the numbers, and they want to eat it up. They want to know all about it. Whereas most of the time it's just like, it's just blunt force facts and ideas, and that's what people think when they hear the word learning. It's like, oh God.
Yeah.
The meat thing too, sorry, just to circle back around quickly, because I remember I sort of went off
All the circles.
Tangent there, but like, I find that I started down the Far Cry path and then I got into something else kind of thing, like, but that connection that you feel, so the nature thing, that we're a part of nature, that's something. So one of the storylines is at the start when you're hunting mammoth and the saber-tooth kills the rest of the hunting party and you end up on your own.
Spoilers!
Yeah. And then later on in the game, you've got to tame that same saber-tooth. And Ash has said, why did the saber-tooth attack, the tribe? Why did it kill your friends? And I was like, well, that was a time where we were still very much a part of a very active member in like predator and prey
Food chain.
kind of thing, the food chain. And that's the funny thing that we've lost. We're still an active participant in the food chain. We're in the cycle. We've got a lot of unfair advantages now, though. Like that's the thing. Back then, you could hunt, but you could also be hunted. And I don't think you can advocate that we should go back that way. But like, there was a connection. There's a thankfulness, I think, about, and if anyone wants to hear someone much more educated about it, talk about it, the latest episode of Chris Ryan's podcast, Tangentially Speaking, he does a great intro where he talks about the lion eating the gazelle. And, some people have said that, like, when you see a lion generally in nature documentaries, it's like, and the lion descends upon the hapless gazelle and tears it apart, and like it's really kind of violent and ugly and like, it's screaming for help or whatever. But if you look at it without the commentary and without the music, the lion actually gets the gazelle, and the gazelle almost just goes limp, kind of thing. At a certain point, the gazelle goes limp, and it hasn't actually, the lion hasn't punctured its skin or anything. And he's saying that you actually see in some of these like videos that the lion actually like nuzzles and licks the gazelle, like it would, like it's young. And there's a thing that talks about a lion. There's an account in a journal of this explorer or something about he got pounced on by a lion. And he said the feeling that he had in that moment where it like bit onto his head was like, okay, this is what's going to happen now.
You just feel the strength and you just realise, this is it.
And they've started to relate it into about endorphins. That, and again, worth researching. I've heard it on a podcast, now I'm saying it. But like, that those animals, that prey animals, receive a huge hit of endorphins when they're got by predators, apparently. There's a massive endorphin release so that they don't struggle and kick and things. They kind of go, okay. That doesn't make it, and I'm not trying to say, well, sheep and that, they're getting a massive endorphin. It's a different relationship. It's not a predator suddenly jumping on you or suddenly twang, an arrow's like taking you out. The process at the moment is ship them off in trailers to the abattoir where they have hours and hours of feeling terrified on the way there. They can smell other animals and the fear. It's a different setting, but I think in the hunting sense, if done in a particular way, it wouldn't surprise me if there are inbuilt things in animals to try and reduce the suffering part of it, the struggle part of it. Well, it seems to be that that's what they're showing. I just think that it's so very different. I don't think you can use that to say, like people go, well, see, look, the prey animals, they're meant to be killed because there's endorphins and blah, blah, blah. It's a totally different thing to drag them off to the abattoir and slaughter them in factory farming. It's a completely different relationship to actually going out into the environment. It's a long-winded point, but I just...
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I'd never heard anything about that.
Yeah, I hadn't either until I heard this, but I think it shows that disconnection we have where, and why we get these arguments inside of ourselves that like split us kind of thing. Like for me about meat, I feel like I need to eat it. I feel like I'm actually healthier when I eat it. But I hate the idea of the fact that I go and buy this shit from the supermarket. I hate the idea that it's all farmed and they're...
We should do it. We should go hunt a rabbit.
I think I need to at some point to really feel... Because I've never killed my own meat. And I think I need to do that to decide whether or not that's something I want to do.
Well, it's... Yeah. Like, it was surprising for me how confronting it can be. Like, I don't know, maybe it's not for other people. They just... Oh, I'm sure it's not for other people. It depends on your situation. But for me, I probably thought it through too much, and it was really confronting. And maybe for you, it depends like how you take it. But maybe that will be the defining point where it's like, actually, no, you're not going to eat meat. Or it'll be, yep, that was intense, but I think this is something I want to do. I do feel like for my health, I feel better eating meat. I want it to be a part of my life, so I'm going to make this sacrifice. Is it a sacrifice? Not necessarily. It depends how you think of it, I suppose.
Maybe an acknowledgement of the significance of it too.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. If it's so important to you that you need to eat it, at least it will be in context, and maybe you will stop feeling guilty because you've taken responsibility for it. Yeah, that's just a huge thing for me. Is I just think it's so important for people to take responsibility. I'm not saying I'm perfect at it. I think that's a goal for my life. Is to whenever I identify situations where I'm not taking responsibility for what I'm doing or thinking, especially thoughts actually, and saying,
then the best way to fix that problem is to take responsibility.
Because, I mean, the meat thing, there's so many other things that come along with that. You know, you buy it from a supermarket, it's packaged in styrofoam and plastic and all that sort of shit. The electricity to keep it, you know, fresh, the petrol that the trucks use to ship it up and down the highway, you know, so there's a lot more that goes into it. There's a lot more feelings. For me, I just get this all the time when I shop at the moment. Just like, holy crap, there's so much junk that goes into like our food. And then you watch something like that woman I was telling you about in where she's grinding up corn and then putting the corn flour in her mouth and chewing it, and then she spits it back out into a bowl, so it's globby like corn flour with her saliva on it, and then she dumps it into, I think, water, and they ferment an alcoholic drink out of it called chicha, and then that's like the common drink. Like, can you imagine serving that up like in our society? Oh yeah, I just chewed on this corn flour and fermented it for however long, and people would flip.
Yeah. It's all about your perspective on things, because like there wouldn't be any actual like bacteria, or there would be, but like it wouldn't be contaminated like we think of. Because if it's fermented, then it's produced alcohol, and most of the stuff's probably died off. It'd be completely safe. It's just the idea of the fact that someone's chewed it is all that would be a problem for people.
Just the germ factor for most people. Like, oh god,
Yeah, like
germ.
I would be confronted,
Yeah, oh, me too. Definitely, definitely.
and I ate grubs.
Okay. You got to wrap up?
What?
I didn't know if you had to wrap up or not.
Oh, maybe. You guys can get going if you want. Right. I just thinking Owen was talking about the, what's the word you were using? About what you think and do and say.
Responsibility?
Responsibility, that was the word. The podcasts have been a really interesting one. To try and find that line between not censoring yourself, but also trying to think about the impact of what you might say and someone might hear.
Yeah.
It's been a really tough line, tough balance to strike, I find. That I'm definitely censoring myself a little bit.
Yeah.
But you don't want this conversation to be stilted.
Yeah.
And sound unnatural and forced, and you don't want to do too many of those things that we do of going, I know this, and I know this, and, you know, I'm accounting for this. You do want to just be able to have the freedom to say stuff and get your point across.
Well, you hope that people listening would come to it with an open mind.
Yeah, but the reality is a lot of people wouldn't.
Yeah, they'll form judgments about stuff we're saying and about who we are.
Yeah. And it's almost like I'm tempted to have a section at the end where before we sign off we can reiterate so that you can go through it without second guessing yourself, and at the end we can take 10 to 15 minutes to go, okay, is there any points that we want to just circle back to and just say, try and have another crack at saying, as in like when we were talking before earlier on about the Paralympians and that kind of stuff. Like, almost like I want to my instinct is to circle back and say, I'm not saying that Paralympians are shit.
No.
You know, and I'm not saying that people that aren't doing that are shit. I just, do you know what I mean? Like, to go back and say, what I was trying to say was this.
Yeah.
That there are just average people out there who just live their lives with these, you know, hindrances, and they take it with as much grace as a Paralympian.
Yeah.
They just don't do the same thing with it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you can do that. I don't know if that's just really annoying to be able to take the podcast and.
Well, why not just do it and then see how it rolls.
Then the other thing is too, in that there'll be some people out there who will be offended by the fact that you might call it a hindrance. You know what I mean? And then like there are so many, and I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but there are so many angles from which people could get offended by this. Like the conversation we've just had about hunting and meat. I can imagine
Factory farmers would get offended.
Vegans will get offended. Vegetarians could. Animal rights. There's all these things.
Yeah, that conversation has probably offended everyone on all sides of the meat eating argument.
Which is, I think, is appropriate in the sense that it's like this is the goal for me of the podcast. Everyone needs to talk more and think more about their impact in all aspects. Like in the same way that we're thinking about our impact in terms of what we say, we don't want to contribute to just crap noise. We don't want people to just take what we say as gospel and then run with it. Go and research it and that sort of thing. And the same thing, it happens both ways. Both what we talk about hopefully will go out and make people think and consider and research. But also when we talk about it, it makes me go and consider and research. Like I've done so much thinking about different things based on just the 2 podcasts we've done already. And this third one is really making me really want to consider all this stuff about, kind of like ethical eating, I guess. Like what I feel like I should be eating and how I should be doing it. I think that's my kind of hope, that people try and think more about their life and the way that they live it.
Yeah, any of the judgment put up are probably more judgment. Us judging ourselves rather than other people. It's like I'd like to think none of us would ever really expect that much from everyone else. Like, it's not so much saying what you should do as saying what we want to do.
Yeah.
There's no point telling people what they should do because it just doesn't work. And it doesn't matter because you might be wrong.
Yeah, and it's just like the education thing. You've got to be engaged with that. If you were to make a change in your life to do something, you've got to be engaged with it. It doesn't work just to tell people how to do things.
Yeah.
Because that's when people come at you with arguments like bigotry and censorship and you know what I mean? You can't tell me to do that. Yeah. The idea is that hopefully you just contribute to a shared experience that will create a community of people that thinks similarly, or at least when they do think differently to you, they engage in a productive, positive way, rather than a negative sort of.
All working on ourselves rather than trying to change other people.
Yeah, and I think that will actually have more effect, be more effective at changing other people.
Yeah, it's great.
Than trying to change other people.
I would like to actually have more experiences of this. Like, I've been working on myself with people like you guys who are very close to my point of view. I would love to find some people who see the world very differently, who still have this same attitude, though. Yeah. And try and engage with them in a way so where we can both be open-minded and just exploring each other's points of views whilst both having very different points of views. Yeah, which I've never really found that with someone who was willing to really engage with me like that, but who sees things very differently.
It's really hard to find, actually, and even with the podcast, we've got a lot of people who want to come on and talk to us, which is really good. I'm really looking forward to it. But it's if there's people that sort of feel differently, it's not that worries me. The people having different opinions. It's that the idea of people that have different opinions or even similar opinions, but a less flexible approach to conversation. Yeah. In terms of you can explore the idea without actually saying, people feel like they're going to betray their philosophy and their personal beliefs by exploring it too much, so they want to sort of put a pin in it and go, no, this is how I feel on it. And then it becomes, at that point, it just becomes an argument rather than...
Yeah. The feeling that questioning stuff means that you don't believe it. Yeah. Like, the best way, I feel, to find something to truly believe in is to question it. You got to keep questioning it. And if no matter how much you question it, it still comes up feeling true. Yeah. And you can put a little bit more faith in it.
Well, that's it. It's feeling true, and putting faith in it as opposed to knowing it is true.
Well, it's pretty faithless to never question something. Because if you have
faith in it, you shouldn't be scared to
Yeah, well, it's just ignorance.
try and blow holes in it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, to come out the other side of it and go, that's a really interesting point about it, but I still believe this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, hopefully you find people like that, and hopefully we find people like that. And it may even be an opportunity to do a four-way podcast if we find someone at some point that we think is interesting in that way, in that has a very different worldview, but a good approach to the conversation.
Yeah.
We could maybe have them back and have you back as well.
Heavens, yes.
We can all...
I think a sense of humour is pretty important. I think that's what often denotes people who I like talking to, even if we're very different, that people can have a laugh about things.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a key.
Yeah.
Cool.
I guess we probably should wrap it up there. It's probably our shortest podcast yet, but it still flew. It's still quite a while, and it still flew.
Nice.
Thanks, Owen.
No worries.
Thanks, Ben.
Did you have fun?
Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Jake. I did, actually. It's been good.
You seem surprised.
Yeah. No, I'd be keen to do some more.
Yeah.
Explore some other topics and stuff.
Yes. And to even have a bit more time. I mean, 2 hours, 2.5 hours sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
Well, yeah, I felt like we got more into some interesting stuff at the end.
It happens every time.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter
imagine that.
how. Even the podcast we had that we spoke for 3.5 hours, it's like the last 25 minutes was the best.
Yeah.
It really gets into the juice.
So, and I don't think that, yeah, and it's possible that, say, the 2-hour podcast versus the 3-hour podcast, maybe at 2 hours in the 3-hour podcast, we did reach the same level of interest that we did at the end of the 2-hour podcast. And then by the 3.5 hours, we were just even, maybe it just keeps getting more and more interested. Maybe you'll always have that feeling.
Should do a 24-hour podcast.
Yeah. Live stream.
Just have people in and out.
Yeah.
I'm really keen at some point to do some in a setting where we can move the gear kind of thing. Like as
Get
in,
out on the
like,
street.
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of been able to do it in a more mobile way.
Just mic up, go through a day.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of thinking about it'd be. I'm thinking about there's some people who aren't going to be able to get up here to do it with ease, kind of thing. Like get up to
Benalla.
Yeah, to Benalla. Just being able to take it with you in a backpack or somewhere would be kind of fun. But I do dig the studio too. It's nice.
Studio vibes.
Yeah, boy.
Cool.
Right.
Will be.